Please give me a minute. All right, awesome. We're talking about how much SQL does a product manager need to know, and we have on this call ABOSEDE AJAYI as our facilitator. So I'll just read out a short bio and give her the mic so she can get started. ABOSEDE AJAYI is a seasoned senior product manager with a wealth of experience spanning several industries, including fintech, finance, edtech, travel tech, and e-commerce. Wow. With a proven track record of successfully launching and managing innovative products, ABOSEDE is a natural problem solver with an eye for detail and a passion for combining design and technology to build solutions to complex problems. ABOSEDE started out in tech at the young age of 16 as a programmer and had worked in different capacities before becoming a product manager. She has worked for teams both locally and globally and currently does that while traveling and exploring different cultures. Hi Abosede, can you hear me? It's so good to have you on this call today.
Hi, Esther. I can hear you.
Hi. Yes,
Okay.
yes, you have the floor, so you can go ahead. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hello. Hi, everyone. Okay. Let me quickly share my screen so we can get that out of the way. Okay. Let me try and share. I think I have. Hmm. 1 second. I'm trying to share the right window. So just 1 second. But thank you for the introduction, Esther. I hope we are all fine and yeah, looking forward to the long weekend.
Yes, yes. Thank you very much, Abosede, for joining us today. And I'm sure everybody's excited for the weekend. Who doesn't like a free break? Right. We really do not get that these days. So it's a good one, basically. I'm really looking forward to it. It's a yes, long we can rest. Imanola
Yeah.
said she looks forward to resting. So yeah, very important. Yeah. So guys, while Abosede gets the right screen, please you could, if you have any questions during the course of our presentation, you could either raise your hand at the end of the presentation to ask a question, or you could drop it in the chat box so we could go over it while she's done with her presentation, or you could use the Q&A feature on Google to ask your question. Obviously, how about now? Have you are you ready?
Okay. Just little. So I used a PDF file. That's why I'm struggling a little. So yeah, I should have something now.
All right.
Interesting. Still can't see it. Okay, can't see it now.
All right.
Hmm. Seems like Google Meet is messing with me. So I saw it now and then it just disappeared. Okay, give me a second. All
All
right.
right. All right. All right. No problem. Um. So I think I'll just take a full ask female people how their day went while you try to sort that out. Is that fine?
Yeah, perfect.
All right. Awesome. Over not speaking with So let me just go around to check. Hi, Aduragbemi. Can you hear me? Good evening. Okay. I think I'll just go to someone else. Hi, Emanuela. Good evening. Can you hear me?
Hi everyone, good evening.
Yeah. How are you
Hi.
doing? And how was your day?
My
How
day
was work?
was great. I got good news. I was expecting
Uh,
something, I got it, so my day was great. W-
also,
Work,
that's so good to
work
hear.
is work, good days, bad days, but work is work. But overall, it's been a good week,
All
thankfully.
right,
Yeah.
all right, that's so good to hear.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for joining the call. Hi, Olua from Layo. Can you hear me?
Hi,
Okay.
Hester.
Hi, good evening. How are you doing and how was work?
I'm doing good. Work was great. There's no work tomorrow, so I mean, that's good.
All right, also, thank you for joining us. Apostle, I presume you're ready, right?
Okay, I'm just going to work with what I have right now. I wanted to have more of an interactive session where I could actually see everyone on the call and still save their slides, but apparently that isn't coming up. So we're going to work with this. Thank you so much.
All right,
And
no
I'll
problem.
delve into it. All right.
All right,
Okay.
thank you.
So we're going to be talking about how much SQL should a product manager know. And it's still going to be quite interactive because I want to hear your views, and I'm making an assumption that we have so many product managers on this call. So let us dive right into it. What do we understand by SQL? And I want to call people, so I'm going to switch my window and I want to start calling people. What exactly do you understand by SQL? Is this the first time you're even hearing the word SQL or this acronym? What does it mean to you? Yeah, I want to hear from people. So I would randomly just mention your name and just let me know. Emanuela, what do you think? What do you understand by SQL?
SQL is some random segment of codes that you write to query databases. So like a formula that can use to put, pull information from a database.
Okay, that's interesting. Esther, what do you understand by SQL?
Is it my Esther you called?
Okay.
Which of the
I'm just
Esther?
do we have more than one Esther in this call? Okay, let me just go to Steve. Steve, what do you understand by SQL?
Hi.
Hi, Steve.
So I mean, use SQL to query database, right?
Okay.
To more or less try to really understand what is happening in your database and try to get those information and use them for whatever decision you need to make. Some of
Okay.
the best and the simplest out there, I
Okay.
believe.
That makes sense. It feels like I feel like I'm talking to people that actually have an idea what SQL is. So we're going to dive right into it. And I'm glad because this session means this means I literally can ask you questions and I can also learn from you while on this call. Before we go into SQL, I feel like we'll be doing data a great disservice if we just jump into SQL without talking about data. And if anyone here has heard me speak about anything related to product management before, you will know that I am a firm believer, a firm preacher, or evangelist of the power of data. And this is because you're working with a lot of stakeholders that have power. You're trying to convince them to do stuff. So it means you have to be armed with data. You have to know much more than just giving opinions. You don't have to, you have to know much more than just suggesting things to be done when talking to different stakeholders. Now, this quote is not my quote. This is something I lifted from the internet. But literally, what it's saying is that data to product managers is like ammunition to an assassin. Like, how are you a product manager if you cannot use data? If you cannot use data to back up your claims, if you cannot use data to convince people, nothing gives us more pleasure than gently annihilating a loud, forceful stakeholder. Just imagine this in your mind. You're speaking to a room full of stakeholders and you have a danger stakeholder there with a loud voice, just resisting everything or telling you no every time you bring up an opinion. So imagine having data to back up your claims when on a call or in a meeting with this type of stakeholder. So literally, this is the power that data has. So how does this relate to SQL? How do we use SQL to even empower ourselves to use this data, to bring this data to all these stakeholder meetings? And then we will go right into SQL. So like Steve said, like Emanuela said, SQL is short form for structured query language. People also refer to it as SQL, and I'm sure so many people have heard engineers say SQL. So SQL is a coding language. And when I say coding language, don't be scared if you have not used SQL before. It's not very technical. It's something that you can even read, like a sentence that you can literally just understand by reading through it. And it is a database specific programming language. So I feel like I am using a lot of big words for anyone that has not interacted or done anything related to SQL before. But I will break it down. So when I say SQL is a database specific programming language, SQL works with MySQL databases. And I'm going to break it down by starting what a database is. So literally, Database is just an organized collection of data. Your Excel sheets, all those, it's just an organized way of collecting data. Instead of having data scattered everywhere, you want to be able to pull up data and be able to make sense of it. This is why we have databases. So when we say MySQL database, it is a form of database that is relational. So, and what I mean by relational is, imagine having a couple or 3 or 4 or 5 of Excel sheets. And then on these different Excel sheets, you have different tables. But on these different tables, you have a key, you have a column that is common to all of them. So if, for instance, you have a data of customers, a table listing all your customers, you have a table listing transaction history, you have another table listing different things related to things happening on your platform. But on each of these tables, you have a customer ID. So if, for instance, you're on your customers data, you have on your customers table, you have your name, your customer name, the location, the age, the gender, all these things on your customer table. Then on another table, you have the transaction history of your customer, when the transaction was carried out. But on each of these different tables, you have the customer ID, which means I can use the customer ID to like match these 2 tables together. That's what we call relational database. So relational database is a set of multiple data sets organized by tables, records, and columns. And that's it. This is a sample of what I'm trying to explain here. So this is a customer table, this is an order table, but then you have a key. The customer ID is common to both of them, and that's how they relate together. Pretty much what we call relational database. And then when we say MySQL is a database-specific programming language that works with MySQL databases, it means MySQL, it means your SQL, your SQL helps you to query data from this type of databases. Am I making sense to anyone? Give me a thumbs up if you understand it. Okay. All right. Just give me thumbs up. All right. Okay. Great. So why do PMs need to know SQL? Based off what we just talked about, based off where we started from, what I just talked about the power of data, and based off this understanding of what SQL is. Why do you think that PMs need to know SQL? And I'm just going to randomly call people. Sorry about the old moving between 2 different windows or screens. It's something minor. I'm going to call random people to just give me insights as to why you think PMs need to know, like why they need to understand SQL. I'm going to call Oluwafolakemi because you are right on my screen. And then I'm going to tap so that I see other people and mention their names. Just why do you think PMs need to understand SQL?
Hi. So I think you already mentioned it, and really it's, I mean, the key of what, well, not the only key, but one major thing of what we do as product managers is you have to ensure alignment, right? So you're trying to convince someone, and especially when you're working on a product that has multiple stakeholders and people are coming with different perspectives. So it's together alignment, you're trying to convince someone, and the person is saying, like you said, it can't be a matter of opinion. You need to be able to make data-driven, decisions. So if you're going to convince someone to say, look, this is not about what I think or what the engineering team thinks or what you think, this is what the data shows, this is what history shows, and it can be history on the particular product that we own, or it can be external data, but just to see what's the trend and where could this take us if we make this decision this way or the other way. So I think it's really just to enhance our decision-making capability and to help us get stakeholders to align, to convince them.
You know what? You're right. You're spot on. I like your point. I'm going to call Olu from Laya. Why do you think PMs need SQL?
It helps product managers make data-informed decisions. So you want to build something, you want to take a particular step. You're not just doing it based on what you think is right or what you think is the next step for the company. You're doing based on data, basically.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. And I'm glad that everybody sort of agrees on why we need to know SQL. Nobody's saying that, oh, SQL is too technical. I don't need to know this because engineers are already there. So I pretty much will just show you, I'll take us through this slide on reasons why PMs need to know SQL. So the first thing is to track your KPIs more efficiently. So the first thing as a product manager, you're building, but you need to also know why exactly are we building? When is our product STEM successful? What metrics are we tracking? You want to be able to go to this data. You want to be able to see that, okay, we've had how many people onboarded, we've had how many customers interacting with our products, we've had this SQL. You're able, with SQL, you're able to pull this data by yourself and you're able to measure the results. You're able to see that, okay, this is not exactly what we set out to do. This is not how much we set out to gain, but this is where we are at. Are we progressing? How does this, what's our month-on-month growth? What's our week-on-week growth? So this literally helps you track your KPIs more efficiently. Now, the second reason, which is one reason that I heard a lot from engineers when I talked about SQL, is to become more independent. I feel like as product managers, most of us, we say that we do not need to be technical, and then we have a lot of dependencies on engineers. So imagine that you want to just pull data to understand, okay, what's the transaction data? How many customers, how much did the customers transact last week, last month? And then you have about 2, 3, 4, 5 queries, and you send to engineer. And engineer feels like, okay, this is going to delay me from my work, but I will pull the data. And then when you get it there, you realize, okay, this makes sense, but I also want to know the location of the customers that actually purchased this. I want to also see what is, let me see the customers that purchased, that made transactions, the highest paying customers. So you send another list to these engineers, and then you begin to see, okay, maybe I want to also see the segmentation of our customers. So this means you have already done 2 or 3 or 4 different calls to your engineer to spool data. So you literally are dependent on your engineers or your data team just to spool data. And it feels like if this engineer just says, okay, I'm unable to do this at the moment, it means you have to literally wait for your engineer. And it's a lot of dependency. It's a lot of, okay, I don't want to disturb this engineer right now, or I probably have disturbed you a lot, and you start apologizing. Okay, I know you are doing a lot of work and you have deliverables, but please, could you help me do this more? So it just makes you, as a product manager, you feel like even yourself, you're blocked. So becoming more independent, you're able to just go into your SQL, into your database, and you're able to spool exactly what you need as a product manager. And if, for instance, while looking through the data, you feel like you need something else, you're able to even spool it. It's easier. It's not back and forth. It's not going to one person. The person has 1 hour, 1 to 2 hours, and they're unable to even like attend to you at that moment. Also, it helps you improve like the knowledge about your product. So personally, as I know when Esther was introducing me, she said I have technical background, but I feel like just using SQL alone, interacting with it, helps you know more about your product, about how people interact with your product, about your customers. And that's the next point, your customer trend. So maybe, for instance, you're able to see, okay, we had a spike in transactions last week. And I'm doing a lot of examples that is related to fintech or related to transactions and payments, because I have been in the payments space for a bit. And it's just amazing to see how spooling data, just understand, it helps you understand how your customers even make payments, when do your customers make payments? Do we have a spike during the weekends? On holidays, what happens? Do people shop at this particular location more? Does it mean that our customers, maybe they work in this particular location, and then when they go home, this is where they spend money? So you're able to see the behavior. And even when you want to maybe decide on what to push to your different customers, you're able to say that, okay, based off our customer strength, based off the behavior of these customers, we can see that they would actually buy into this vision or buy into this feature, or they would use this feature more. You're able to understand your customer segmentation. So beyond just going into meetings to stakeholders and telling them, okay, this is why we should do this, or this is why this would work for us, you are able to preach more about your customer. As a product manager, you're the voice of your customer in everything you're doing. You're able to say, okay, this is the feature that would work for our customers based off their trends and behaviors. And you're able to see that, okay, maybe looking through Google Analytics, you can see the way customers interact with your product. At what points do they have drop-offs? But this, just understanding the data, just pulling the data and looking at, okay, our customers carry out transactions more at the end of the month, basically because they're salary earners. With that, you have much more understanding of who your customers are, their segmentation, their trends, their behaviors, and what to push to them, what they will buy into. Then also you get an understanding of the structure behind your data. Now, if you understand where your data lives, if you understand what's your, like, literally just going through and just reading through this data, you can say that, okay, I think we need to know a lot more about this customer. Maybe we can actually add this data tracking, then maybe we can add this other data points to be tracked so that we can get more information about our customers. So you have a deeper understanding of your products. You know, when next you're planning a session, you know what fields should be added, what makes sense to determine the performance of your product. Then also it gives you better insights on factors that impact your data. And then imagine having technical discussions with your developers and you are not just one clueless person. Now, beyond stakeholders, beyond the top stakeholders, imagine interacting with even the developers and you're able to say that, oh, I think this makes more sense based off like what I saw on the data, from the data. So literally, you're better even with technical discussions on this topic or on what your customer wants, or this, like, just by doing all these tiny little things. And the funny thing is, you're not creating tables, you're not deleting tables. All you're doing is just reading the data. Am I making sense? Is everyone following? Any questions so far? Okay, great. So literally this call is not for us to like read or teach the actual SQL, but I want to take us through some basic SQL syntax that is quite important for you as a product manager. When I said you're not creating, you're not deleting, because it's not your work. You don't want to go and delete something that's quite important. All you're doing is making sense of the data and how it relates to your customers, how it relates to the products that you're building, how you can convince your stakeholders of things that you need to build, features you need to build for your customers. And for instance, some stakeholders don't even need to be convinced. They just want to see the trends. Okay, what exactly? Show me the data. Literally, why do we need to even spend so much money on this particular feature? Just show me the data. So literally, that's how important SQL is. So the basic syntax that we'll be going through, we're going to go through just three, and these three are for reading data. Literally, SQL is structured query language. And when we say we are querying a database, you are calling this database to get a result. So how do you call this database? How do you say, okay, show me this? And the first thing I want to talk about is selecting from the database. So if, for instance, you have a database, do you want to see a table? You want to see a list of your customers? The way you do that is by selecting from that database. So select from a database, the word you use. And when I said that, okay, SQL is something that you can literally read, like you can read it as a sentence and make sense of it. That is the exact meaning. So I would cite examples of this, how you use these queries. So select from the database means that you're actually trying to fetch information. Let us look at this different syntax and what it does. Now, select star, and I'm very sure most of us have seen something similar, something like this. What does star here mean? This asterisk means selecting all. So select all means, and this is a table, select all from customers. Now you will see that there's a difference in the way the text is written. And I don't know, does anybody have a question about why do we have like some text in like capitals and some in small letters? Or we all understand, so I can move on. Okay, I can see someone's hand is raised.
Yeah, someone's hand is
Utibe,
up. Let me just check. Okay, I hand has dropped already.
okay.
Utibe,
Yes.
you want to talk? Okay.
Right. Yeah. So my question was on why, because I'm seeing caps and non-caps. Why exactly is that?
Okay, so SQL is not case sensitive, but when you are writing SQL, because it looks like you are writing, like literally writing English, you want to separate the SQL syntax from your table names or from your column names or anything that you are trying to fetch data from. So that's why we have the caps. So anything that you see in caps here literally is SQL syntax. So select all from customers. Customers is our table name. Does that answer you, Tibe?
Yes, it does. I'm wondering, can that work vice versa? So you could use non-caps for select from or select all, and then the customers could be capital.
Okay, so one thing as product managers that we do is we don't try to introduce things to our customers when they already have like there's a trend of things that they're used to. And that's why anytime you try to query SQL or you search for SQL syntax online, you always see that the syntax itself is written in caps. So if you decide to write it in small letters, that's fine. You will get results. But when people come to look at your code or when they try to make sense of what you have written, I think it will be a struggle. What is the table name? What is the syntax? And because there are a lot of words that are very similar to like the normal English words that you're using. So you're using where, you're using from, you're using. So how would somebody that looks at your code know exactly the minute they look at it that, okay, this is what we are trying to do. We are selecting all from payments table. So let's not try to introduce confusion into what we are doing. That's literally why we have this different cases for the syntax and for the tables we're fetching from. Does that make sense?
Yes, she responded with a thumbs up. Yeah.
All right. Okay, great. Okay, so the next one is select asterisk from table. So literally, this is exactly what I just explained. So we're selecting all from a table, and the table here is payment. Now the next one is select column from a table. So if, for instance, we are trying to just fetch the customer's names, we're selecting the column name. So if, for instance, our column name is first name, we just want to see all the first names of all our users. So we are selecting first name from the users, where users is the table and first name is the column name. And the last example here is select column 1, column 2. So it means you can fetch more than one information at a time and you just separate them using the comma. So column 1, column 2 from the table. So you're selecting first name, age. And when you get this data, you literally will see the first name of the user and the age. So literally, this is how easy it could be to just fetch data and make sense of things. Any questions so far? So this is for the example. So for instance, I want to select all transactions from payments table. This is how I would write the syntax. Select transactions from payments, where payments is the table name and transactions is the column. Another example is you want to select the users and the transactions from the payments table. You're selecting users, comma, transactions. Now, so that when you see the data, when the data is fetched, you're able to tell, okay, this is the username, this is the transaction, and then this is the from the payments table. So literally, this is how you select, how you read, like select information from your database. Now, the second thing I want to just touch on is applying conditions to this filter. So now, for instance, I've selected things, but how do I apply conditions? I want to select all the customers that live in London. So after selecting all the customers' names from our table called customers. So if, for instance, I selected select first name from table called customers, but I want to see the customers that live in London, I would say select, this instance, I'm selecting all from customers table where, and this is another word that is an SQL syntax, where the city equals London. So literally you can read this as like English, like equals is something we're familiar with. I have some links here that I probably will post in the chat so that you can just go back and like read more about all these different syntax. So, and notice the use of this operator. It's literally letting you select. So we use equals, we use greater than, we use less than. All these operators that we use in mathematics, the basic ones, literally is the same things that we use in SQL. So SQL is not very technical for you as a product manager to use. So we're selecting all from customers where city equals London. Another example is select all from customers where the package equals premium. And the reason all these ones are in quotes is literally because you are searching for this particular text. See another example. Show me all customers who are paying more than $200 a month. Now, because it is more than, and like I said, more than is greater than, you're using like the exact, like the same operators that you use in English. So if you're using greater than or equal to, it literally is the same thing that you would use here. Select all from customers table where the monthly price is greater than 200. Any questions so far? So are we all good? It means we literally can write SQL syntax to fetch And
Someone is raising
okay.
their hand. Someone raised their hand.
Okay.
Elizabeth.
All right.
We have Elizabeth first. Elizabeth, can you hear me to make and speak, please?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, ABOSEDE, for taking your time to take us through this training. So I have a question regarding the last slide you shared.
Okay.
So for this type of query, right? Let's say you're trying to get a total number. I'm talking about the package training where package equals to premium. So if you're
Okay.
trying to get like the data of number of people on a certain subscription plan, right? Let's say a fintech product, you have like the standard and then you have the enterprise plan, and you're trying to get the total number of customers on your standard plan. So you want to see the total number, right? Does that query return the total number of people, or how do you write such query? I don't know if you
So,
get my question
like,
well.
I get your question. So that what you are asking for is a count of all the like
Exactly.
you've selected the data and you want a count. So literally, that's what I'm saying. That this class we are just touching on the basics, and here we're doing select. The next one we're doing this example we're doing like conditions. But if you want to know a lot more about how to use this data, and it's very simple, I will drop some links where you can learn this different syntax. But for the purpose of this call, we're just doing 3 different things: selecting, putting the conditions, and then the last one will be retrieving the data in a specific order.
Okay. Thank you so much. We'd really
But yes,
appreciate
it's something
it.
that you can do. You're welcome.
Oh, I think Olua Falakemi raised their hand. Falakemi, do you want to ask a question? Or you're good?
I think, well, to be honest, I'm trying not to be lost. This is very, very foreign for me. Maybe I'm one of those
Wow.
people. I'm one of those people who I understand the importance of data, but I'm more used to someone processing the data and giving me the graph that I need to make the information. So, but I do understand that it's a relevant skill. And I wanted to find out, I mean, so this is not, maybe not totally a technical question, but do you have,
Okay.
does anybody need to have, or do you have any background in, writing any form of code at all? Maybe I'm trying to validate my thoughts and my feelings to say, look, you don't have to have that background. And I just need to get past this mental block that I have to say, look, this is something that a um,
Technical person.
yes, a non-technical person can do. Even if you're a technical program manager, or, sorry, product manager, you should still be able to. But yeah, I think that's why I put my hand down, because I wasn't sure if it was a valid question, but
It is a valid
that's about
question.
me.
It's a valid
Thank
question.
you.
And I'm probably not the best person to answer it because I'm an outlier, because I started into tech as a programmer. So it literally helps me in understanding like how backend works. But for SQL, and the reason I am even emphasizing on for SQL is SQL is not very technical, especially when you're reading the data. And when you're looking at the code, like when you're looking at SQL queries, all you need to understand is the different syntax. What do they do? And when we started with select is the literal meaning in English language. So maybe you want to understand what asterisk is. And asterisk in SQL means select all. So select all from where? Where do you want to select it from? From your table. And what is the name of that table? The customers table. So it is, and you don't have to learn everything at a time. You probably want to just take a step at a time and read through like the different syntax and understand what exactly they do, what they mean, and just practice. Okay, select all from customer stable, select all from transaction stable, and see how this data is returned to you. So you don't have to be technical to understand how SQL works. And you don't have to like write join or do all those inner join. These are extreme cases. Like that's you doing a lot of technical things. But what you're trying to do here is just understand the data. So you're starting from the basics. Select all from customer stable. Now, maybe you want to go further. Now I want to know where our package is probably 500 Naira. I want to select only that information. So you know that, okay, I have selected all the information from customer stable, but where package equals 500 Naira. That's an instance. And you write it and it doesn't return an error. It gives you the full, like it gives you a result you literally are happy that, okay, I can see exactly all the information from this table where our package is 500. Now you can go further and say that, okay, let me see when our package is greater than 500. So it's you practicing, you get better with practice. But if you sit down and just decide that, okay, this is for technical people, you wouldn't learn until, and that literally is just like a mind block. So, but when you attempt, you read and you attempt to just begin to write like even the basics, you will begin to understand better and where exactly or what exactly you should be doing. And you can, if for instance, you try this and you ask your developer, I'm trying to spool this data, but I don't think my syntax is right. Could you look at this query for me? They will be more willing to help compared to when you were just saying, get me this, get me this, get me this, get me this, get me this. Does that answer you?
Yes, it does. Absolutely, it does. I think you said the key thing is just getting past that mental block, because the way you're explaining it, it doesn't seem hard, but and then you already said practice, practice, practice. So that's what I'll try out after the session. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. So the last one I'm going to touch on today is retrieving data in a specific order. So if, for instance, you want to spool data on transactions and you want to see like from the highest to the lowest, how do you do it? You're ordering. So because again, you're looking at it in a specific order. Now the word here, the syntax we're using is order by, which is exactly the English, like the literal English meaning. So I want a list of all my customers ordered by their first name alphabetically. So select all from customers ordered by the first name, because we already have a first name column. So everything we are writing here, it looks abstract, but if we were actually interacting with the table itself, it would have been so easy, because we'll be looking at the table, we know the table name, and then we'll look at the column, and then we'll say that, okay, the column is first name. So what do we want it to do? We want it to order it by first, like in ascending order. So we're saying select all from the customers table, order by first name, ascending order. And this is the syntax for ascending. So literally, if we were interacting with the table, it would be more visible and clearer for everyone to understand. So this is another example. You want to order by payment amount. So we are selecting all from customers table, order by. Now our payment amount in our table is titled monthly payments underscore payments. That's the column. Order by payment amount in descending order. So literally, that's exactly what it means. So it's very abstract right now because we're not seeing the table. But if you were interacting with a table, you would see exactly what you need. You see your table, you see your columns, and you just type in the names of the columns just as you want it. Any questions about this? Now, what do you do with all this data? So after spilling data, what do you do? Going back to where we started from, about persuading stakeholders. So with this data now, you can go into any meeting with stakeholders and like you feel like you're ready to tackle anything that comes up during the meeting, because you know that there is data to back up your claims. There's data to be your ammunition. And you also need to know how to like persuade your stakeholders. So you're not just going there to say that I want to argue and be the best person that can win this argument. You're going there to persuade your stakeholders to see the relevance of your data. Because imagine going into a meeting, if despite having the data and your stakeholders are just like not interested in seeing the relevance. So you want to persuade them. And these are some questions that you can also like run through to practice. Maybe you want to see how many users registered every month. So you're selecting what do you want to do? How many users have been acquired from a particular marketing campaign? These are things that you can test. On which day of the week do we get the most users? So literally, how do you write the syntax for this? These are questions that you could just looking at them. How do I write the syntax for this or the query for this in SQL? Now to the question and to the topic of the evening. How much SQL does a product manager need to know? Does anyone want to answer that now, based off this very short presentation that we have gone through?
A lot.
Okay, Emmanuel, you said a lot. Why? Why do you think it's a lot?
Because from what you're
Okay.
describing, like, imagine like I'm the PM for two different products, a B2B and a B2C product. I have to be, you know, writing a lot of queries to pull data from the two different database, and imagine for a serving cost. For example, I work in the health tech space, and we work
Okay.
with HMOs. HMOs have thousands and thousands of users or clients that use our service. Like, so I'm just like, I have to write as many queries as possible. So for me, I just feel many, and SQL is like it's foreign to me. I've not done any SQL before, but yeah.
Okay, so I want to talk about what you just said. You don't have to know a lot of SQL. You don't have to know a lot of SQL. Basically, what you're doing is reading the data. Your basic understanding of SQL is what you are going to use in reading the data from all these different tables. So if you are working with like different organizations, if you are working on different things, the syntax would not change. If you already understand that, oh, I want to select this from this particular table, it's the same syntax. So you literally already have that little understanding of how to read the data. And when you come, like when you interact with the databases, you're literally writing the same syntax. So it doesn't change. It's not a lot of and as you write more, you begin to understand more. Okay, I want to fetch this particular thing. I think I want to know where our customers are based, where our ISP and customers are based. It's literally is not changing. So even if the data is a lot, your syntax isn't changing. The SQL is not changing. It's the same thing that it was yesterday. It's the same thing that it was 2 years ago. So it's not a lot of SQL. Just do you understand that, Manola?
Yes, I do. Thank you for clarifying. Thank you.
All right. I think Sean's.
Yes, Oluwaseun Ajayi was raising his hand or her hand, I don't know.
Yeah, I wanted to say just as much as you can know. Although the syntax does not change, with respect to the amount of data, but when you want to narrow down more specific features or more complex queries, you still need to want to know more. So as much as you can know, you just exploit it. It's beautiful to know. That's what I was gonna say.
Thank you, Sean. I know this Sean is speaking from a data point of view because he works in data.
Yeah, most likely. Right. Tinelo, you have your hand raised, and I think we have a question in the chat box. I'll let Tinelo go, then I'll read out this question for you. So,
Okay.
Tinelo, you can speak,
Okay.
please.
Okay, so I think I just wanted to maybe add that you should just know like the basic syntax, like the where, select, all those type of things. I feel then like that's how much you need to know, right?
So again, let's not go into learning SQL with like a limited, like we are setting boundaries. If you say that, okay, this is all I need to know, select all from table name. You're already setting boundaries in your mind saying that I don't want to learn more beyond this. Because when you begin to interact with the data, like Sean said, you will begin to see the beauty of it. You will begin to see that, oh, okay, maybe I want to know exactly what the age of our customers, like what our top paying customers, what is their age? It's like I feel like you begin to explore more the minute you understand the first few things. You probably, and I'm going to set an example. I was working on a publishing product, and we were integrated with Stripe, and we had to generate reports for the clients like almost every month. And to generate reports on Stripe, you literally have to write like the SQL. You have to write the SQL queries, and this is a lot of data. So you're selecting different columns that make sense to the clients to see. And I feel like when I started interacting with it, it was like, how does this even make sense? But the minute after getting the first table, then I realized, or the first report, I realized, okay, maybe our customers or our clients also want to see what countries are their end customers coming from. What is the age of their end customers? I literally began to add more things to the query, and when the report came out, it was exactly like what the clients needed. So if you just limit your mind to say that, okay, this is exactly what I want to learn, I'm not going to go beyond this, you literally will be doing the exact same thing, and you will not improve on even like the data, how it makes sense. Like, you want to know your customers more, you want to know their trends, you want to know their behavior, and you can't do that if you're just doing the exact same things every day. If you're doing just pulling customers from or just pulling customers from transactions, you probably would have the same data every month. But what if you push a new feature and you want to see exactly how the customers are interacting with that feature, and you want to see where exactly this feature do well most? You want to open your mind and be willing to learn more, even as you explore like the basics. Does that answer you, Chinelo?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
You're
All
welcome.
right, thank you very much, Chinelo. I think we have two questions here. So I read out the first one, and you can answer that, and I go to the second one. So for like me asked, is there a minimum or maximum amount of data that SQL will work on?
In my experience, I do not think so.
All right, for like me, does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. And I just wanted to say, we're product managers, and this is 2024. Isn't there a front end, a very nice looking thing that all I have to do is put my
Oh my
parameters
god.
in boxes and let it just generate the generate the results I want? It's 2024, people. I
Okay.
mean, it sounds like this is like, when Excel used to make you do your pivot tables yourself, but now you just click that button, it brings the pivots. So I mean, again, maybe this is me just looking for an easy way out, but anything to make the work easy.
So you have a point. Maybe there should be an organization that will just build something for product managers, especially to be able to like spool data. But I feel like our dependency on developers today is what is even limiting us in seeing like as much things that we can spool or understand from our data, from like what our customers are doing. When you begin to use SQL, you would see that. And I literally think that this also, maybe it is a coding thing, maybe it is something that, maybe it's because I have like some background in programming. Like, when you begin to write the code and you begin to have like things in like logic, okay, how can we limit this from happening? It would open your mind. So we don't have that yet. We don't have that yet. But maybe in 2025, 2030, probably there will be that. But I also want us to look at SQL as something that would help us, like, beyond just pulling data. It would help us understand our customers, understand what we are building more, understand the product, and then what to push next.
Right. Awesome. Thank you very much, Abosede. I think Falakemi got that already. So Ray was raising her hand. I don't know if she wants to ask a question because she also dropped in the chat. All right, Ray, you can unmute your mic, please.
Yeah, hi. I wanted to answer the previous question as well. I think from previous experience, I don't think there's a limit to the data you can pull with SQL. But rather, when you try to pull data, if the result is like really large, it might take some time for you to like get that data out, if you get me. For example, if you have
Yeah.
like an Excel file that has like thousands of data in it, when you're trying to load it, it takes longer to like load all the data compared to like if you have 10 rows in the Excel. So that's what I know from like experience. And also the other person that just mentioned about like, isn't there like some software or something that can help you get data and stuff like that? I feel like if you have something that is quite repetitive, like say you're pulling a particular type of data for your client every month or your customer every month, you can look at building a simple dashboard where you can get that data every month. So you don't have to go back to the database to keep pulling that data every single month. You already have that dashboard. But at the same time, I would still encourage trying to play around with the data and getting like seeing even more things that you can pull out from the data to like, give to your clients.
Thank you, Ray. You actually, Ray is right, because I have experience where I'm just waiting for the SQL to load like results. So, and that's one. Then secondly, while I was using Stripe to spool data, I literally could save the query, so you don't even have to write the query every time. But because we are trying to open up our minds to explore more and to interact with this and learn more as we interact. You don't want to just limit it to the particular query that you have written, that one query you've written once. But if that's what if it is repetitive, like Ray said, you could save it and you could just continue to reuse it.
All right, thank you very much, ABOSEDE. I have a question here in the chat. So I think it's from Ray. She said, "What do you do when you're limited to database access?"
Okay, I think this is more of a stakeholder management kind of conversation. I feel like if you have limited like database access, you can speak to your data team, you can speak to your line manager, you can speak to your, I don't know, your product team, explaining exactly why you need the access. And I feel like even speaking to developers and telling them that, okay, I'm not like, just give me the read access, or this is literally what I need to do. They would understand and know that you are even reducing the work on their end, and they will be open to interacting. So it's more of a stakeholder management, the way you present it, telling them exactly what you need and how you intend to use the data that you're going to be interacting with or you're going to be spooling. I think that's more of how to handle situations like that.
All right, thank you very much, ABOSEDE. All right. And we have a comment. We have two comments here from Oluwaseun Ajayi. Said SQL is preferable to other tools because it handles large data with efficiency. Yeah, White Chibuzo said, good thing about SQL is that you can always check the internet for syntax idea, part challenge you face. No need to learn everything at the same time. All right, I think yeah, yeah, I think that's pretty much clear. Since we do not have any other questions or comments, I think this is where we'll come to the end of our webinar. Thank you very much, ABOSEDE. I learned a lot, and I'm also sure everybody on this call has learned a lot. And it was really nice having you. Thank you on behalf of PIP. I say thank you for coming out to come and speak to us about SQL. And I'm sure Ola Folakemi and every other person would probably go back and sit down and just try our out on them. Folakemi, you have your hand raised. Do you want to say something before I
Yes, please,
continue?
very quickly. Please, ABOSEDE, do you have personal training, one-to-one tutoring on this matter? Because I'm feeling like I need help. I mean, I'm just wondering,
Okay.
honestly. So the thing is, I joined this thing. For me, it was timely. I've been on LinkedIn trying to follow some courses, but it's just, there's just a wall in my brain, So, but it sounds like you know how to explain it to a 5-year-old, and I feel like that 5-year-old in this space now that I really just need to understand it like ABC.
Actually,
Okay. I do not have a course right now. You can send me a message on LinkedIn. I would share some SQL courses with you that would help.
Okay, that would be
right,
super helpful. How do we get it, please?
Oluwaseun, you could also share that. Yeah, you could also share that in the on the chat on the Slack channel. Oluwaseun said he has free Udacity course.
So I'm going to send. Okay, my name on LinkedIn is ABOSEDE AJAYI. ABOSEDE AJAYI, without the A in front. Yeah.
All right. Awesome. Elizabeth, you had your hand raised. You want to say something before I continue?
Yeah, I just wanted to remind ABOSEDE not to forget about the resources she promised earlier.
Oh yeah, true.
I'm going to drop it on PIP. I'm going to drop it on Slack page. Yeah.
All right, awesome. Thank you very much, ABOSEDE. We look forward to that. Right, so I'll just run us through most of our events. So we have an Hangouts, Q1 Hangouts coming out pretty soon. I think it's April. So if you've not registered,